Behind the white walls of Babylon's temples, something powerful happened every day. Secret rituals, royal humiliation ceremonies, and sky-watching sessions that decided whether the king lived or died. You were a teenager helping run all of it. No one outside those walls knew the full story, but you did. For now, you sleep on a mat in a busy family room and share chores with cousins. You do not know it yet, but your path is already bending toward the temple. Childhood in crowded Babylon streets. You take your first breath in Babylon, right by the Euphrates, in a house made of sun-baked mud brick that cracks in the heat every summer. The city is loud from the start. Traders shout prices, donkeys complain about everything, and somewhere a temple singer is already warming up for the morning hymn to Marduk. Your family is not ordinary. Your father has land and business ties with the palace and the temple. That means silver in the house and, more important, status. It also means your life is never going to be simple. From the time you can walk, adults tell you that the gods are always watching. Not in a vague way, literally watching. Their eyes are carved into every gate, every statue, every amulet hanging over your bed. As a small child, your world is a tight maze of courtyards and flat roofs. You help grind grain, you carry water, you learn how to keep your sandals from sinking in the mud after the river floods. You hear adults talk about harvest tallies, barley rations, and temple debts. You do not understand the numbers yet, but you learn very early that tablets covered in wedge marks decide everything. Religion is not a special event. It is the background program of your whole day. Before meals, your mother murmurs a short prayer. Before a journey, someone burns a pinch of incense. At night, the household god figures get a tiny share of food and drink. You grow up with the firm idea that if the gods are happy, your roof stays on, and your brothers do not get sick. The temple complex sits on higher ground, always in view. You see its whitewashed walls and tall ziggurat from your rooftop. On festival days, you rush to the street edge as the procession passes. Priests in special garments, musicians with drums and lyres, guards clearing a path, and at the center a statue of the god hidden in a covered shrine. You watch the line pass and feel something very simple and very dangerous for a child in Babylon. You want to be inside those walls, not just watching from the dust. Chosen young to serve the goddess. One morning, your father does not go to the fields or the market. He goes to the scribes. That is always a sign of trouble or power. In your case, it is both. He commissions a clay tablet that will decide your whole future. On it, he records a vow. His daughter will serve the goddess. Families in Babylon do not do this on a whim. Dedicating a daughter to temple service is a public move. It ties your house to a major god and to serious institutions. In return, the family gains status, protection, and sometimes better access to temple loans and land. The gods are holy. They are also excellent networking tools. You are somewhere between 8 and 12, old enough to follow instructions. Young enough that no one bothers to ask your opinion. Relatives gather. Your mother adjusts your hair and clothing. You get ornaments that are not part of normal chores. You stand straight while a scribe reads the vow out loud. Your name, your father's name, the name of the goddess, the duties, the rules, all baked into clay. Your legal status shifts. You are no longer just a daughter in a household. You become a consecrated woman, recorded in the same writing system that tracks taxes and royal orders. Depending on your exact rank, you may lose the right to a normal marriage. In some lines, you can still own property and receive income. In others, your inheritance is locked into the temple. The law codes and contracts keep score. The ceremony is not sentimental. There is no soft speech about finding yourself. There are offerings, spoken formulas, and precise gestures. When it ends, you walk out with a new role and a quiet shock. Yesterday, you were a child who watched processions from the street. Today, you are marked for the inner world behind those walls. Training inside, the temple school. Your world shrinks and expands on the same day. You leave the family house and move into the temple quarter, close to the great courtyard and its storage rooms, shrines, and offices. The streets here are quieter, but the rules are louder. Every step near the sacred area has a list of, do this, never do that. Temple life starts early. You wake before sunrise to wash, not a quick splash. A set routine with clean water, specific order, and no shortcuts. Purity here is not about feelings. It is about staying fit to stand near a god's statue without causing cosmic offense. Your first real lessons are not mystical. They are practical and boring, which means they matter. You learn the standard prayers line by line. Senior women drill you on the names of the gods, their titles, and their favorite offerings. Marduk, Ishtar, Shamash, Nabu, Gula, each with a fixed list of praises and jobs. Mix them up in public and you will never hear the end of it. Then come the tablets. clay, reed stylus, and posture that makes your back hate you. You copy simple signs, wedges for numbers, signs for barley, oil, sheep, and basic verbs. You do not train as a full professional scribe, but you need enough skill to read key ritual lines and recognize your own name in legal texts. When a tablet says you owe offerings, you want to be sure. Music drills fill the afternoons. You practice pitch, rhythm, and breathing because the gods do not tolerate lazy hymns. Temple singers and musicians correct every slip. You learn how to hold notes over the beat of drums and the pluck of lyres. A missed cue in a public ritual is not cute. It is a sign of disrespect. You also learn body language, where to stand, how to bow, when to raise your hands, when to keep your eyes low. The god statue never speaks, but the choreography around it is strict. Day by day, the temple strips away your old habits and replaces them with ritual muscle memory. At night, when you lie down on your mat in a shared chamber, you realize something simple and slightly terrifying. Your mistakes no longer embarrass just you, they embarrass a god. First steps in daily rituals. Your first official duty feels small. You carry a lamp, that is it. You hold a clay lamp with sesame oil and a short wick, but in this temple, that lamp is not a decoration. It signals that the god is awake. If it goes out, people panic. The universe does not collapse, but the blame lands on the trainee with shaky hands. The day begins before the sun clears the ziggurat. Senior priestesses unlock the inner doors, recite short lines, and check the statue's clothing and jewelry. The statue is not a symbol. In Babylon, the god is believed to live in it. That means you help dress a divine guest every morning. Fresh linen, polished gold, and a quick wipe to remove dust. You are scared to breathe, much less sneeze. Then come the offerings. Bread, dates, beer, and sometimes meat if the temple has enough animals that week. You help lay the trays on clean stands, while another priestess chants. The food does not vanish. No one expects it to. After the ritual, the staff gets rations based on ranks. You learn fast that a well-stocked storeroom means fewer grumpy workers. Fire control becomes a new skill. You learn to keep incense burning at a steady rate. Too little and the room smells like sweat. Too much and the smoke makes everyone cough during the prayers. The schedule runs like a relentless drum. Morning ritual, midday offering, evening closing, each with spoken lines, bows, and gestures. No skipping, no freestyle. The temple follows rules written long before you were born. You develop a strange skill set. You can carry hot incense pots without burning your hands. You can chant while walking. You can spot an uneven offering tray from across the room. None of this impresses your old friends outside the walls. Inside, it keeps you employed and alive. By the end of the week, you understand a harsh truth. Serving a god looks grand from the street. Up close, it feels like the world's most intense housekeeping job. Serving during great festivals. Your quiet routine explodes during the Akitu festival. It is the New Year celebration in Babylon, usually held around the spring equinox. For 12 intense days, the temple becomes the city's beating heart. Crowds pack the streets. Merchants triple prices. Officials act holy for once. Every guild wants to be seen supporting the god Marduk. Your job shifts from careful lamp duty to high-stakes public performance. The god statue leaves the inner shrine and travels through the city in a covered shrine carried by priests and guards. The people cheer, cry, or panic, depending on the year. If the king fails to show proper respect in the rituals, everyone believes disaster will follow. Floods, famine, invasion. No pressure. You stand in formation with other priestesses near the temple gate. You hold ritual objects. You chant short lines when cued by senior clergy. You keep your face calm while guards shove people out of the way. You learn that holiness needs security staff with sharp weapons. The king arrives in full regalia. He enters the temple and must kneel before Marduk's statue. The high priest slaps him, hard. The blow is meant to show the king's humility before the god. If the king tears up, the crowd believes the god approves. If he stays dry-eyed, people whisper, "You do not laugh." Not out loud. Inside the temple, you help prepare the ritual rooms. Offerings multiply. More bread, more beer, more incense. You assist with sacred vessels and make sure everything is placed in the correct order. One misplaced cup during the New Year ritual could start a rumor that the goddess is angry. Rumors travel faster than horses. Some parts remain restricted. The sacred marriage ritual tied to the goddess Ishtar and her consort may be performed by high-ranking clergy and royalty. You only hear muffled chants and see the aftermath in the form of extra offerings and smug expressions. You keep working. Managing temple wealth and workers. Your duties jump from candles to cash flow. Babylonian temples are not only holy sites, they are economic giants. Some control fields, herds, workshops, and loans. By the time you turn 14 or 15, you help manage resources that feed hundreds. No pressure. First stop every morning is the storeroom. Clay jars full of grain, oil, and dates line the walls. Scribes check deliveries from temple lands. One tablet might list 50 sheep sent from a village near Kish. Another records 30 liters of sesame oil pressed in a temple workshop. You learn fast that numbers are sacred when they involve food. If a jar is short, workers complain and priests panic. You help supervise ration distribution. Workers get monthly shares. A brewer might get 10 liters of barley. A weaver might get wool bundles and a portion of beer. You hand out tokens or confirm marks on tablets. People do not argue with the gods, but they argue about rations, loudly. Temple property is serious business. Some priestesses can own land. You can rent fields to farmers and collect the harvest share as income. Your name appears on legal tablets that record contracts. You see your identity pressed into clay next to officials and male landowners. It feels powerful and slightly dangerous. Losing a tablet means losing proof. The temple also loans silver. Interest rates vary, but the temple never forgets a debt. If someone defaults, the temple claims land or animals. You witness tense negotiations. A farmer offers 6 goats instead of silver. A scribe checks the law code. The temple accepts, but raises requirements next season. The gods are generous only on festival days. You oversee workshops. Weavers produce fine cloth for rituals. Bakers make daily bread for offerings and staff rations. Brewers handle huge vats of beer. You coordinate schedules and check quality. One batch of sour beer can ruin morale and spark gossip about divine displeasure. You also monitor offerings from private citizens. People bring clay figurines, metal jewelry, or animals. You record the value and direct the items to storage or sacrifice. Some donations come from fear, others from thanks. You learn that devotion and bribery look the same when written in cuneiform. Healing, omens, and daily petitioners. Your quiet storeroom duties get interrupted by a line of worried citizens. They arrive before sunrise, clutching offerings and looking desperate. A man says his wife has fever. A woman thinks her neighbor cursed her goats. A merchant had a nightmare about a broken bridge and now refuses to cross the river. In Babylon, every problem has a divine angle. Lucky you help handle it. The temple works with 2 specialist groups. The Ashipu handle exorcisms and ritual cures. The Asu handle practical medicine like herbs and bandages. You assist both, which means you now know way too much about rashes and curses. A tablet from around 650 BCE lists over 200 medical prescriptions. Honey, dates, beer, and plant mixes. Some work, some taste like punishment. Petitioners bring offerings. A small clay bowl for strength, a bronze pin for protection, a clay tablet with a prayer asking Gula, the goddess of healing, to stop a disease. You record the item's value and the petitioner's name. No offering, no ritual. The gods do not run a charity. You take part in ritual washing. Holy water poured from special vessels, collected from a clean source and blessed with spoken lines. You sprinkle it over a sick person or a symbolic clay figure. The Ashipu chant diagnostic formulas. They do not guess. They follow long lists that connect symptoms to causes. Fever may mean a demon, a curse, or a bad wind. The cure depends on the category. Sometimes a person seeks help for guilt. They think they angered a god by breaking a vow or skipping an offering. You present bread and incense on their behalf and speak short prayers. You do not ask for details. Confession is not your job. Keeping the ritual clean is. Dream interpretation becomes part of your routine. People report dreams about floods, snakes, or collapsing houses. You assist while a trained interpreter checks omen tablets. One dream about a falling star could mean danger for the king. If the dream involves you, you stay silent. No one needs that drama. Reading the sky for kings. Your daily chores take a strange turn. Instead of counting grain or washing ritual bowls, you climb narrow stairs to the roof. You are not sightseeing, you are helping watch the sky. Babylonian temples serve as observatories. The roof crew is full of specialists who record every odd event in the heavens. Stars, planets, clouds, colors, and anything that looks suspicious. The senior astrologer reads from omen tablets. The big collection is called Enuma Anu Enlil. It holds thousands of signs. If a planet shines too bright, if the moon turns red, if Jupiter moves the wrong way, someone writes it down and links it to a known result. A lunar eclipse on the 14th day of a month? That might mean danger for the king. A strange halo around the sun? That could hint at famine. You assist by holding lamps, copying short notes, and trying not to fall asleep. Whenever a bad omen points at the king, the temple reacts fast. Special rituals begin. Extra offerings, extra chants. Sometimes a substitute king ritual is prepared. Yes, you heard that right. If the omen says the real king might die, a temporary stand-in takes the danger. A man is crowned, treated like royalty, and then removed once the threat passes. The real king hides and waits. You are not invited to the final step. You can guess why. You help prepare ritual items, clean bowls, extra incense, and cloth to cover statues. You hear tense whispers among officials. If the omen warns of invasion, the palace panics. If it warns of plague, the temple fields get more attention. You learn that the sky controls politics more than anyone admits. War, hunger, and new kings. You think the temple is stable. The gods stay put. The schedule never changes. Then the troops show up. News hits first through traders. An enemy army is moving. Maybe Assyria in one century, maybe Elam in another, maybe some rebel from a nearby city who thinks he is important. The names change. The pattern does not. First sign inside the temple is silence. Fewer people bring offerings. Farmers hold back grain in case the roads close. The storerooms you once saw as endless start to look thin. Scribes update ration tablets with less generous numbers. Workers pretend not to notice, then start complaining louder. The city walls fill with guards. You are not a soldier. You are a logistics problem. The temple must keep basic rituals going, even if the army is outside the gate. That means you stretch supplies. Smaller bread loaves for offerings. Less beer in each cup. You hope the gods appreciate portion control. If the siege lasts, hunger creeps in. Animals in temple herds are slaughtered faster. Grain is milled down to the last kernel. Petitioners now ask less for love and more for survival. They want protection from arrows, disease, and starvation. You assist in emergency rituals. Extra prayers to Ishtar for victory. Extra offerings to Shamash for justice. Deep down, everyone knows the invading army does not care about justice lists on clay. Then, the city falls. Maybe the gates open after a deal. Maybe the wall is breached. Either way, soldiers enter. Statues can be looted. Some conquerors drag gods out of their temples and cart them off as trophies. That is a political message. Our god beat your god. You help move sacred items to inner rooms and hope the new rulers like your deity's style. Survival now means adaptation. The new king issues decrees. The temple must add his name to prayers and adjust offerings to match his favorite gods. Old tablets stay in storage, but new ones praise the fresh regime. You keep your face neutral while reading lines that thank the latest conqueror for his mercy. You saw the streets. Mercy is a flexible word. Elder priestess and final duties. Time does not care about your sacred schedule. Your knees start to complain every time you climb temple stairs. Younger priestesses rush past you with fresh energy and terrible posture. You stop carrying heavy incense burners. You start giving orders. That part feels great. Your role shifts to teaching. New girls arrive, usually between 8 and 12, just as you once did. They cry on the first night. You hand them a linen cloth and tell them to keep quiet because the goddess does not accept tears as offerings. You train them in prayers, posture, and tablet reading. You correct every mistake. Getting a god's title wrong in public does not end well for anyone. You become part of temple leadership. Your name appears on contracts involving land rentals, silver loans, and property disputes. Records from cities like Sippar and show senior priestesses managing estates well into old age. Some own fields that yield barley shares every harvest. Your family visits more often now that you control income. Funny how that works. You attend council meetings with temple officials. Scribes present tablets listing debts and deliveries. You decide whether a tenant can keep his field after a poor harvest. Mercy is rare. The temple still wants results. You also help negotiate with palace officials. Kings change, but paperwork never dies. Your ritual tasks shrink, but you still perform key lines during major ceremonies. The public trusts your voice. Years of practice built authority. When you lift your hands in prayer, people believe the goddess listens. You know the truth. The goddess listens when the offerings are in order. Your body slows. You stop taking part in long night watches on the roof. Younger staff handle the stairs and sleepless hours. You advise from the courtyard and pretend you do not miss the view. Eventually, your death becomes another event on the temple calendar. Your burial follows elite customs, a proper grave, offerings, and tablets noting your status. Family members maintain small rites in your honor. Some temples keep records of past priestesses to prove long-standing service. You become part of that list.